So something that's been simmering behind the scenes has just exploded into the open. We're talking about a major dispute that's pitting Egypt against one of its most important allies in the region, the Libyan commander Khalifa Haftar. And what's it all about? The brutal war happening in Sudan. Haftar's being accused of backing the very side that Egypt opposes. And believe me, this isn't just some small disagreement. This is a move that could completely redraw the power map in North Africa. Let's get into it.
And look, we're not talking about a minor diplomatic spat here. This is a very public break, and it could totally reshape alliances across the entire region. So that brings us to the big question. What on earth could be so serious that Cairo is willing to risk its relationship with a partner as crucial as Haftar?
You know, for years, Cairo and Khalifa Haftar's group over in eastern Libya have been tight, staunch allies. But that whole partnership is now showing some serious cracks. And it all boils down to one single explosive accusation, that Haftar is secretly helping one side in Sudan's devastating civil war.
And wow, did this thing escalate fast. First, these reports start popping up claiming Haftar is giving support to Sudan's paramilitary group, the RSF. That leads to a pretty tense meeting in Cairo in early December, but the real fire alarm went off on December 8th. That's when an official Egyptian statement came out and directly linked the stability of Sudan to the national security of both Egypt and Libya. You have to understand, in the world of diplomacy, that is not just a polite warning, that is a direct threat.
Okay, so why such a massive reaction from Cairo? Well, because for Egypt, this isn't some distant conflict they're just watching on the news. No, Haftar's alleged moves are seen as a direct threat to Egypt's core national security, and it's hitting them on 3 different fronts.
Let's break this down. First up, the security risk. Any help for the RSF, that's Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces, basically creates an active war zone right on Egypt's huge and frankly very hard to patrol southwestern border. Second, there's the political risk. It just completely blows up Egypt's official policy, which is to support the formal Sudanese army, not the RSF. And third, and this is a big one, the regional risk. This supply route could turn southern Libya into a superhighway for weapons, making the chaos in Sudan dangerously exportable to the entire neighborhood. If you were to look at a map, the absolute heart of this crisis is this giant, mostly ungoverned patch of desert where the borders of Egypt, Libya, and Sudan all meet. They call it the Lawless Triangle. It's already a well-known smuggler's paradise, and Cairo's absolute worst nightmare is that it becomes a permanent highway for war.
So what does Egypt do? Well, they're not just sitting back and issuing warnings. No, they've launched this really clever two-pronged strategy. It's designed to put on maximum pressure and send a very clear message. Cairo has other options.
So here's how they're playing it. It's like a brilliant double message. On one hand, Cairo is sending these direct, unambiguous warnings to Haftar over in the east, stop any and all support for the RSF now. But at the exact same time, a top-level Egyptian security team travels to Tripoli in the west to meet with Haftar's political rivals. The subtext here is just screamingly obvious. You are not our only partner in Libya.
But to really get why Egypt is so on edge about this, you've got to zoom out and look at the whole picture. This isn't happening in some kind of vacuum. Egyptian strategists literally see their country as being surrounded by what they call a belt of fire. Basically, a whole series of intense crises on almost every single one of their borders.
I mean, just look. To their northeast, you've got the war in Gaza, which is creating immense security and humanitarian pressure right on the Sinai border.
Then you go east, and you've got all the rising tensions in the Red Sea, which is not only a security problem, but a huge economic one, threatening the money Egypt makes from the Suez Canal.
Then look south, and you have the absolute catastrophe of the war in Sudan, on top of the long-running fight with Ethiopia over the Nile's waters.
And finally, to the west, you've got the decade of instability in Libya. But here's the crucial point. The Libyan crisis and the Sudanese crisis are now starting to merge, to bleed into each other, creating this compounded super threat that Egypt feels it just cannot afford to ignore.
So where does all of this leave us? Well, we're in the middle of this incredibly tense and still very much unresolved standoff. Egypt has drawn a very clear line in the desert sand, and now the entire region is basically holding its breath, watching to see what Haftar is going to do next.
And if you want to know just how serious this is, you only need to hear this one line. Egypt has all options to protect its national security. That phrase, all options, that's code. It's a clear signal that for Cairo, this is not up for negotiation. This is a non-negotiable red line, a threat they believe must be neutralized one way or another.
So we're left with this huge, critical question. Is Khalifa Haftar going to listen to the warning from his most powerful backer and cut whatever ties he may have to the RSF?
Or is he going to defy Cairo and force a massive realignment of power, not just in Libya, but across this entire incredibly volatile region? The next move really could change everything.